little bit of a different switch for the board meeting. Due to the fact that our board members were just newly elected and re-elected, one of our newest members here is Liz Smith in the front row. We're going to have the swearing in, or the oath of office, by Judge Costin. And right after that, we can do some mingling with relatives and friends and go from there. I'd also like to let everybody know that a couple years ago, our board made a decision to video record and live stream our board meetings. As you see in the back room, we have 2 cameras that are doing just that for us tonight. So tonight is our first night with regards to live streaming board meetings. If you were to go onto our website, the White Lake Township website, the first item on there is all you have to do is click on it and you go live streaming. So as we are live streaming, I'd like to say one thing on my behalf. As all of you know, I am not taking a position with the board for this next term. And I just want to take and say it's been a pleasure serving White Lake Township and the residents for the last 6 years. So I'd just like to take and get that out. I'd also like to take and recognize some of the groups that are here tonight. I see the Historical Society is with us. There are members here from the Huron Valley Optimist Club. Many different organizations being represented tonight here. And welcome once again to the oath of the new board members. And after that, once again, we will have some cookies. If you'd like to have a cookie over here in the corner, there's cookies available. And then right after the oath of office, once we come back together, we can start the regular board meeting. So with that, I'm going to take and ask Judge Costin to please come up, and I'm going to take and move myself, and I think come on up to the front here. Rick, if you could go into that position. Put Liz right here. Hi.
I think just for a matter of procedure, because I know that you have a full meeting after this, rather than swear each of you in individually and have you be here till 10:30 or 11 tonight, I'm going to install the oath to every one of you as a group, and then I'm going to have each of you come down and sign your oath individually. So if I could please have the newly elected and re-elected officers stand.
Judge Costin?
Yes.
We also have the deputy clerk and deputy treasurer on the podium today also. So those 2 ladies are up there also.
All right. So all of those that require the oath, and I'm going to stand over here so we can see it properly. I would like each of you to please raise your right hands. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office,
of the office
and I'm going to have each of you say what your office is of
trustee
for the Township of White Lake,
for the Township of White Lake,
County of Oakland,
County of Oakland,
and State of Michigan,
and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Can I take a moment then and sit here? We'll have each person come down. So as I call each of you, I'd ask you to come down and sign your oath.
Okay, we gotta come down now and sign.
Can I borrow your pen?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, first,
Mike Roman. Sorry.
oops, I was going to have Mr. Kowal come down first. This is the photograph time if you have members of your family. You want to take pictures? I got one.
Thanks, Brown.
Either one is fine.
One of the main reasons why we're having the oath of office being presented tonight is because the state of Michigan recognizes the end of term at
Here, I can take it.
Sunday, the 20th at noon.
Lisa's
So
baton.
because of that term ending on Sunday, the 20th at noon, we decided tonight at the regular board meeting to have the oath of office.
Mr. Lilly.
I think I signed it.
Well, is there a photo opportunity?
Absolutely.
All right. This only happens.
Let's get that straight. Wait, I'll take it.
Lisa's taking pictures. Lisa,
What,
down.
pretend.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, someone's gonna take a picture.
Oh.
Come over here, it'd be better.
Kathy. Where's DeRocher?
Kathy Droscher.
Is it Ted's kid?
Yeah, complete.
Here. Thank you. Lisa.
I thought that meeting was at 7. Asked if anyone needed that language, if it could be blue. Yeah, they told me at 4:50 and.
Pick it up. I got your picture.
Cheese.
I was hoping you were gonna get on the record.
Harmless.
Very good. Yeah.
Did you smile or Mike?
What's that?
Did you smile?
I smiled.
Okay. That's good.
For a picture.
Okay.
I've got one, Judge.
All right. Mike Powell. Behind me. Here.
Guess we're gonna pinch me or something.
Okay. Official. Andrea.
Oh, yeah, this
Or you can go next to her and we'll get a picture. Or you can go next to her.
Did we break the record tonight?
You got lots of photos, so right slow.
Morgan, look up.
Oh, wow.
Had a whole group taking pictures.
Paparazzi. Yeah, I agree. And Liz. All right, I think we're gonna get a big photo up here as well.
Sounds good.
Sign slowly.
Good, good.
Gonna miss you.
Well, thank you.
And all this, can I say just a brief conciliatory congratulations to Rick?
We'll probably do that in public comment.
It's all being recorded.
Everything's that you're saying is being recorded.
He wins the public service.
When we get into the actual meeting.
Thank you.
All right. We have an official new board.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. I'd like to thank Judge Costin for coming tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Your husband's around here too, somewhere. Bob?
He's talking.
Oh, there you are, over there. Hi, Bob. Thanks for being here tonight with us. Okay? Thank you.
Former trustee for many years for one.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Supervisor, while we're at a little bit of ease right now and everybody's kind of relaxed, there are, I think the Dublin Center as well as the Historical Society wanted to say something, so this would be an appropriate time if you would like to.
Good evening, my name is Kathy. I'm the director of the Dublin Community Senior Center, and tried to persuade Greg to join us today at a big event at the center, but he's kind of humble and didn't want to come because he knew we would do something. But all of the board is very supportive of the senior center, and we appreciate that. But as Greg is leaving, just a little special something for Greg to celebrate later this evening with his wife Marilyn. A small little cake that says thank you. One of the best big birthday, or not birthday cards, but thank you cards that we could find signed by so many seniors.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And the senior center. Always have a good time over at the senior center when we get together. A lot of people show up over there. Kathy's got a lot of good things going on.
Hi, I'm Barb Allison.
I'm Marge Sark with the Historical Society.
The White Lake Historical Society would like to express its gratitude to Greg Baroni. So we thought we would share with you some of the major accomplishments that we realized during his 5 years of presidency. Marge?
Honestly, we know that you didn't want to be here all night or all day tomorrow. So, suffice it to say that we made tremendous strides at the Fisk Farm with Greg at the helm, and just as you did at the township level. Therefore, we want to wish him and Marilyn too best wishes in your second retirement.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Historical Society. Appreciate that very much. As Kathy Gordonier had mentioned, I'm not a typical type person that likes congratulations and things like that. I came on board to take and do a job, and I truly believe that I helped this township out for the last 6 years. A lot of good, interesting times. Some of them challenging. Some of those days were even more challenging. But I truly enjoyed being the supervisor for the township. And with the end of my term Sunday at noon, my wife and I will be able to take and sit on the front porch and just be called neighbor, which hopefully will be a good thing. We have some traveling that we have planned. Hopefully we can get some of those travel plans accomplished. But I'll still be in the area. I'll still be active with different organizations, as you all know. I usually dive into many different organizations. So I will still be in the area. So once again, everybody, thank you very much. I appreciated being your supervisor for the last 6 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
With that, I'm looking at the cookies that Mike is putting into his pocket. So please, Mr. Hankus, you've got something you would like to say?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Just one moment, folks. Can you hear me back there? Great, thanks. For those of you that don't know, I was the Democratic nominee for the position of supervisor this year on the ballot. And I believe that Rick deserves a concession speech. And I am actually not ready to give that because Donald Trump told me if I lost to challenge everything. But guess what? Knowing Rick as I do, I'm not challenging anything. In fact, I am very, very proud that you will be taking us forward, and even life changes everything. I was almost brought to tears when Donald Trump met with President Obama, and he said the gravity of this responsibility just woke me up that my life will never, ever be the same again. And I believe that's a call to duty and honor that, as your code was just decreed, that you are bringing to us. And I would like to welcome you and your new board. And we're giving the keys to you guys, and I hope you drive safe and not real fast because it's kind of scary. But you know, White Lake is a bit rural and lots of pretty scenes and lots of regular folks. So I always take time to shake hands, as I'm sure you have. By the way, I did not kiss any babies. I thought if I went into Kroger's and grabbed some woman's baby and started kissing it, I'd be in jail. So there's a whole lot about politics that I don't know, that I know Rick and his wonderful family of service knows. And talk about connections. You know, he's got great connections to bring in ideas from the whole political realm. And I am very, very proud to have you be our supervisor. Miss you, Greg.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that, we're going to take and do a little bit of an intermission. So if you'd like to have a cookie or something and walk around and talk a little bit, I would like to try to get the meeting underway, the actual board meeting, at about 7:30. So you got about 13 minutes to take and mingle.
I wonder who that is. Thank you very much. Is it Chief yet?
I'm ready. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Mr. Ruggles?
Here.
Andrea Voorhees?
Here.
Rick Colwell?
Here.
Mike Powell?
Here.
Mike Roman?
Here.
Mr. Lilly Sir, Mr. Barone?
Here. Mr. Clerk, I know you do have some agenda amendments for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. A number of different things that need to be added. A new treasurer's report. You do have treasurer's report under 6D4 that Mike is, that'll be an add-on. Also, add item 10B. And 10B will be the, we need to make an adjustment to the previous agreement that we signed for the Four Corners in Union Lake.
This is
The
resolution
abatement issue.
16-037.
We need to make a change. Want to add a position that I talked with the board last night in regards to the budget to add to item C, or 10C, which would be the senior election specialist. Also, on the back of your agenda, we want to switch items A, B, and C. The first part will be, we'll move C to A, and then we'll take A and B. So C will be first, and then A, and then B. The addition of the new list of bills that you have in front of you dated 11/14/16. And also, you have in front of you a revised General Appropriations Act based on our conversation from yesterday, as well as the budget amendments that we discussed in there. If there are no other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Mr. Lilly to approve agenda items as amended.
I'll support that.
Support by Mr. Roman. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is where I open it up to the public. If you're in the audience, you have a chance to speak. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. And I'm going to look at our attorney to take time for the 3 minutes, if there's anybody that's out there. And is there anybody in the audience at this time that would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand. Pam? Please give us your name and address.
I'm Pam Barkoltz, 5555 Grass Lake Road, White Lake, Michigan. And I was told it's a good idea that you'll time me for 3 minutes by the person that asked me to come tonight to offer a tribute to Greg. And I wasn't invited when they were tributing Greg, so this will be for everybody to understand that Greg is a past president of the Huron Valley Optimists. And I'm also a past president of the Huron Valley Optimists. I'm also currently representing the Michigan District as a lieutenant governor. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Greg's commitment to the community as a member of a philanthropic group. And the Huron Valley Optimists are about bringing out the best in kids as well as in ourselves. We do 26 activities, about 26 activities a year. I have some handouts for all of you. If I can hand these to you and ask you to pass those down. Greg has been involved in many of those activities. Among them, we have an annual pumpkin hunt. I believe the year Greg was president was the year we had 3,000 people attend, and we were overwhelmed at Indian Springs. He's been involved in our fishing derby, all of our Fisk Farm Festival activities that we participate in. Greg is right there behind us. extravaganza. I think he even helped us spin cotton candy one time. Then it messed up his hair, so he gave it up. Shop with a Cop, he's always there rapping. He and Marilyn come and rap, helps with holiday gifts for kids, soldier care packages. You've got a list of on this activity sheet of the approximate 26 activities that we have a year. So you see we are busy. We serve White Lake Township as well as Highland, Milford, and Commerce Townships. We serve the Huron Valley School District. It's been our pleasure to be able to do this and our pleasure to have Greg as our president for 2011 and 2012. So Greg, we want to thank you honestly for your participation in all of our activities, for your leadership in our club, and we're really happy we're going to start seeing you back at our 7:30 a.m. meetings.
Thank you very much, Pam.
For the general public, if you want to know, it is not a requirement that you attend 7:30 meetings to be a member. It's only a request that you participate in one activity a year. So lots of opportunity to be a member.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Mary Smith. I live at 2550 Porter Road. I was just wanting to say thanks to the board because for keeping north of 59 rural with the integrity, because I have horses. I belong to a horse club, and you know, it's nice that we have such an aggressive policy here, because when you go outside of White Lake, it's very difficult, and so it's really nice to live in a community that hasn't changed much since I've lived here all my life, and the equestrian team really, you know, the equestrian community really appreciates it. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Consent agenda, item number 6. This is a list of bills, revenue, check disbursements, department reports, police, fire, community development, treasurer's report, and special assessment district for tax year 2016, as well as various budget amendments.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the items that were previously approved.
Motion by Mr. Lilly,
I'll support that.
support by Ms. Voorhees. Any further discussion, Mr. Powell?
Just wanted to point out a couple things to everyone. In our report, the police department had 70 calls a day last month, and 25 of those were actually dispatched out. And and I was wondering if Acting Chief Keller couldn't tell me. I keep forgetting what a larceny is. Could you tell me what that is?
It's theft.
Oh, it's okay. It's theft. Okay. I just had to make sure I wasn't part of that. So no. Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda is 7A. This is the meeting minutes from October 18th, 2016.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 18, 2016.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Ruggles, support by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion with regards to the meeting minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is a public hearing. This is a public hearing for the 2017 Community Development Block Grant Open and Closed Public Hearing. And I'm going to take and ask our Director for CDBG, Dina. I just want recognition. Dina is the one that oversees our CDBG program, which is Community Development Block Grant. And she is also my admin. And I want, once again, for 6 years of service with me, Dina, thank you very much for your service. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lilly. I know
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve
We
resolution.
need to open up public hearing
Oh.
first.
I'm sorry. Make a motion to open public hearing.
A motion by Mr. Lilly to open public hearing,
I'll support that.
support by Mr. Cowell. Is there anybody in the audience at this time that would like to talk about the Community Development Block Grant?
Are you going to vote on that?
Oh,
Greg?
I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Open hearing, public hearing. Okay, if there's nobody that would like to, Mr. Lilly.
Just like to make a comment for the benefit of the audience that it's proposed that we're going to have minor home repair in the amount of $50,000. Public service for seniors services, $8,937. And again, public service for battered and abused, $8,936. So
Okay.
something if the board wanted to comment on.
Mr. Roman.
Motion to close public hearing.
A motion by Mr. Roman to close public hearing.
Support that.
I have a question, Mr. Supervisor, of Dina.
Hang on one second. Support by Rick. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved. Out of public hearing. Now Andrea.
It's a basic question. How are the funds compared to last year? Were they up or down?
Down.
It's compared, this number is down from last year.
Yeah, probably a little over 1,000 this
Oh,
time.
okay, that's not bad.
It's not bad, but in the past, we have had over 100,000.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, and then like I was telling some of the board members, I did actually spend 50,000 this year on minor home repair.
I am not surprised.
So it has been increased every year.
No, cool, that was the only question I had.
Thank
Great work,
you.
Dina. I
Miss-
love this program.
Mr. Powell.
I just wondered, do we administer this, or does Oakland County administer this program? You do. The township does? Fantastic. Thank you.
Dina's been doing this for many years, and she
Well, 18 and
18 and 11 months. And
We're counting.
she currently sits on Oakland County's Community Development Board, too, so.
I am aware of number of communities that just give their money back to Oakland County and let them do everything. That's why I asked, so thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the resolution for the Community Development Block Grant. This is Resolution 16-041. I do have a comment down at the very bottom of the page. It says that the second from the last sentence, Township Board at a meeting held November 15th, 2017, should read 2016. Okay. Item on the table is Resolution 16-041, 2017 Community Development Block Grant. Mr. Lilly.
Make a motion to approve resolution 16041 with the following items. Account number 731227, minor home repair in the amount of 50,000. Account number 731712, public service senior services, 8,937. And account number 730137, public service, the battered and abused, the amount of $8,936.
Motion by Mr. Lilly,
I'll support that.
support by Mr. Cowell. Any further discussion on this resolution? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. Thank you, Dina. Again. Next item on the agenda, this is number 9A. This is Resolution 16-039, Poverty Guidelines for the Board of Review. The name.
This is just something you have to do annually, because you have to approve what the guidelines are for the Board of Review to use for anybody that appears for poverty.
Have they changed it all?
No, they just changed based on, whatever the federal government says the minimum poverty standards are.
Okay.
We just adjust it based on that. We do.
Mr. Roman.
Can you just discuss a little bit about what the Board of Review does for those that do fall into this category?
Well, Actually, I take the guidelines and put into a formula to determine whether or not they meet the guidelines based on, I use the formula to determine whether or not they meet the guidelines, basically. And then the Board of Review either approves it or doesn't approve it, and if they have extenuating circumstances, they'll hear those and possibly grant them. If they can, they have to have a reasonable reason to do that. So if they have a good reason for circumstances, that are unusual, then they can grant that, even if they don't quite meet the guidelines.
Is it a reduction or a deferral?
It's a reduction.
A reduction.
According to the guidelines that you guys have been approving every year, they have to pay 5% of their income towards their income taxes.
Okay.
So we reduce it down to their taxable value down to, so that they're only paying 5%.
Okay, thank you.
And how many people approximately in White Lake?
It's been increasing every year.
Okay, just approximately.
I think it's partly because people are becoming more knowledgeable that it's available. And I know that the county in the last few years has been encouraging people that are, that are delinquent in their taxes to come and appeal before they'll help them with their back tax.
Okay. It's like approximately, just ballpark it.
I would say we probably get way more that appeal than what are
Okay,
granted.
okay.
Let's say 30 appeal, maybe half of them are granted.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Roman,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 16-039, the resolution for poverty exemption for property taxes.
resolution, motion by Mr. Roman,
Support.
support by Mr. Rogels. Any further discussion with regards to this resolution? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is 9B. This is Resolution 16-040, confirming reassessment of rubbish removal. Janine.
Every year, we have new houses that are built, and they have not previously obviously been billed for rubbish. And since that's a special assessment, this is what we use to be able to bill them until we redo the special assessment after the 5-year period is up. So this is just adding new construction and taking off houses that have been demoed.
That's all that this resolution does, is just add and support.
Yeah.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Powell.
I move approval of Resolution 16-040.
Motion by Mr. Powell,
I'll support that.
support by Mr. Kowal. Any further discussion with regards to Resolution 16-040? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda is 9C. This is Resolution 16-043, Township Board Salaries for 2017. Mr. Roman, were you going to talk on this one?
Looks like Resolution 16-043 addresses salaries for the Township Board. And what we've always done in the past, as long as I've known, is we've taken the same pay raises or
This is what we're getting from that.
pay cuts as the rest of the township, never more, never less. And I believe these reflect a 2% increase.
Every year.
And I will put that in the form of a motion to approve Resolution 16-043.
Motion by Mr. Roman to approve 16-043.
I'll support
Second?
that.
Yep, good.
Who's-
Andrea.
Andrea's going to take that. Support by Ms. Voorhees. Any further discussion with regards to this Resolution 16-043? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is 10A. This is second reading to the amendment to the ordinance 129, fee ordinance. Mr. Lilly?
Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to approve the fee ordinance that included the up-to-date meter costs for the water department, as well as the large photo plots for the treasurer's office. Make a motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Lilly.
I'll support that motion.
Support by Mr. Kowal. Any further discussion with regards to the second reading of this fee ordinance 129.
No public hearing needed, Greg?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is the one that the clerk brought to the table tonight. This is item 10B. This is resolution 16-037. This is going to be an amendment to the one that we approved in October. With that, Mr. Lilly.
Mr. Supervisor, at a previous meeting, as you indicated, we approved Resolution 16037. The state has indicated to us that they would like us to amend our resolution to include, after the 7 years, that there would be no other possibilities of an extension. But ask that wording be placed in the amended resolution and make a motion to approve the same.
Motion by Mr. Lilly.
Support.
I'll give that one to Mr. Powell. Okay. Support by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion with regards to this item?
I just want to make sure that we're placing this exactly where you intend it to be placed. I mean, it's just a brief sentence, and I mean, it's really at the end of the now therefore be it resolved that, where it lists the date that Mr. Lilly referenced. Perhaps we just add no extensions will be granted. I think it's as simple as that, right? Or no extensions are authorized, something to that effect. But I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page, and Janine is on. We're all on the same page together.
That is correct. That's where the new wording will go, right at that
Yeah, and
sentence.
after as amended, then begin a new sentence saying
Okay.
extensions
Shall.
shall be granted.
Beyond the 7 years. John, do you want that in there too?
No, it's just fine.
Just with no additional extensions.
What they're asking for is redundant anyway, so I guess we can triple up on it if we need to. So beyond the 7-year period, is that what you want to put?
Well, that's what the memo says.
That's what the state's requesting. Got it, Mr. O'Neill?
I think so. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have motion? And I do have support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is another add-on. This is 10C, Senior Election Specialist. Mr. Lilly.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Last night at our budget hearing, had an opportunity to discuss with the board in regards to promotion within my department. I have a person in my department, Ashley, that was hired back in 2000. In October of January of 2006, she was promoted to executive secretary. In October of 2009, she was reclassified as election specialist, simply to reflect what her current job responsibilities were, but at that time there was no additional pay as part of her responsibilities. In addition to her executive secretary responsibilities, the elections specialist requires an election official accreditation and knowledge of election law and election equipment. The election specialist also organizes and implements training of election inspectors for all elections. And these are essential job functions and qualifications above and beyond those of an executive secretary classification, or even currently the position she holds as election specialist. I indicated to the board at the meeting, and I'll read this into the record, that last year I had submitted a request to create a new job description and wage scale for the position of senior election specialist. I believe most of you would agree that Ashley's expertise in elections has been an absolute asset to this township. However, we will not move forward with my past recommendations to compensate her for her present responsibilities. With changing legislation from Lansing and extra requirements from the Secretary of State's office, Ashley spends at least 2 months prior to the election and several weeks after in preparation. The necessary preparation includes, but is not limited, again, to training of inspectors, selecting precinct workers, organizing precinct materials for Election Day, record keeping before and after Election Day, and even now that we're currently subject to state and county audits. Ashley is both meticulous and professional in all aspects of her elections. Her training through the Secretary of State, e-learning website, and constant attendance at our quarterly clerks meetings provide her updates of all aspects of her job, maintaining machines, training of inspectors, and the constant paperwork, and the time it takes to deal with we call our QVF, which is a direct link to the state of Michigan, constantly changing people's election responsibilities, whether they have moved in or out of the township. Ashley currently has the wage schedule of executive secretary. However, her job description was changed to reflect those additional responsibilities of the election specialist in 2010, with no change again in her wages. I would suggest that the board take this matter under serious consideration this year and reward Ashley for a job well done. Kathy and I believe that she deserves the compensation comparable to the level of responsibility and expertise she has demonstrated. I would be happy to discuss any of these other issues. I also, in my proposal for my budget this year, submitted to all of you a copy of the senior specialist job description, as well as the additional qualifications it takes to serve in this position over and above a regular election specialist. And I've also proposed to you a wage schedule for senior elections specialist. And my recommendation on that is to provide Ashley with the 1-year starting salary. Last night there was discussion amongst the board of what my intentions were, but I again want to state I realize tonight that it's probably difficult for the board to change again the budget numbers as well as the Appropriations Act in order to comply with my request before the board tonight. But I would be happy if the board would seriously consider this position and consider an amendment in December so that this pay increase would be effective of January 1st of 2017. Again, I want to state, after what I've read, I think Ashley is a tremendous employee with a huge responsibility, and I don't think that everybody really understands. I know we had a couple people that worked in our office this year. We had four people working all day, many nights, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, Greg, as you witnessed, to put this election together. There's a lot more stuff than people believe of what it takes to organize and maintain 80 people to have an effective elections, and I think we've been very happy and should be very happy that we've been able to keep up with the constant law improvements and requirements that it takes to do this job. So I wanted to make sure that that got presented tonight. Like I say, my hopes would be that boards should seriously consider this and amend the budget in December to reflect the changes and move forward.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, Mr. Lilly, this is primarily an FYI for us tonight, then, correct?
I presented this last year at budget time, what I thought was the most appropriate time to ask the board for consideration. It was not given very much consideration last year, and again, we're here, and I am requesting this board to seriously consider that to be effective of January 1st of 2017.
I will consider that as an FYI to the board and to be brought up probably in the December board meeting then, sir? Correct?
I'm sorry, Greg.
To bring this back to the board in December, is that what you...
I would ask the board to seriously consider this tonight with a commitment to be added as a budget amendment in December.
Okay.
So that we don't change the Appropriations Act and the budget, have to do that tonight.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Roman.
I spoke with Terry a little bit about this today. And as you'll notice later on the agenda, I'm also asking the board to create another position in a wage scale. I've spoken to both the union as well as our labor attorney. I was told in order to do something that like Terry's doing or I'm doing, there's a process that has to take place. First, the position has to be created along with the wage scale and preferably with the budget. Also, considering the new position, the actual movement of the employee is something that should take place later. And again, that's according to the discussions I've had with the labor attorney. Terry, I know where you're coming from with Ashley. You've only got one election specialist. And if you lose her, you're in trouble. I'm not sure if the board realizes that Ashley's doing work every year. Just because there's not an election, it doesn't mean that she's not actually working on her databases, keeping up to date with knowledge, so on and so forth. I just also want the board to know that when someone calls the township and they don't hit a department, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all those phone calls go to Ashley as well. So I don't know what you want to do as far as a motion, Terry. Personally, I would support creating the position, the wage scale, and amending the budget for that at this point. So that's all I will say.
I'd just like to make a comment in regards to discussion with the attorney. I believe what I have heard the attorney say that in this particular case of Ashley's that the union would have a right to a 30-day review once the board passed the job description and the wage scale and whatever, 30 days to be able to review that, but I don't think they have the authority to say that they're not going to approve it. So that was my understanding of the conversation. So,
Mr. Ruggles.
Isn't the position's already been created, right? She got the title back in 2010.
she was appointed as election specialist. This is senior election
Seniors.
specialist. That would be the only difference. Yeah.
And Terry, I totally get that. Terry, I totally get that I agree, she's awesome for work. Like, I had a 20-minute conversation with her today about the elections. My only concern from my end, or from even a township perspective, is I get that she's continually being educated on new election rules, but we generally only have elections every 2 years. Could we add Ashley with some more responsibilities on those non-election years? Is she, like I said, I love Ashley to death. I'm not trying to dog her, but could we, like in our meeting the other night, we talked about scanning. Could we add that onto her election specialist responsibilities on non-election years?
I'm going to say that Ashley is a very universal person.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's not anything that I could ask of Ashley that she would not do. But I'm telling you that her responsibilities is not only election, answering the phones, keeping up with all the other things. She does not have time in my office to concentrate solely on just scanning of documents.
Oh, I'm not saying
And,
that by any
I'll
means.
refresh that to go back and say that currently her responsibility after elections is that she's in the point of time that we're working on the cemetery program. So that is going to take up a lot of her time. We're doing pictures of all the gravestones. We just had two parts of the cemetery resurveyed. So she's going to spend a lot of time on our cemetery program in order to get all of that documented and all of those forms that are currently been lax for years in the upgrade of our cemeteries that we have been doing, particularly this year with the Granger. So she's going to keep busy doing those other programs. No, she's not going to. She may help out, but not going to have a lot of time to scan.
And my last question, how do other communities have election specialists, and how does that wage scale that you're proposing compare to other communities?
I'm not sure what other communities do. I know that other communities do have people that are working on elections. I just feel as a responsible department head and comparing her salary with what other, right now she's compared to an executive secretary that, we have a number of secretaries in here that are executive that don't do near the work and the expertise that Ashley does. So I think she's at least one step ahead of everybody
She
else.
also does notary.
Yeah.
She does notary work.
Yep.
I believe she orders most of the office supplies as well.
She does a tremendous amount of
entire
work.
I'm not
township.
disagreeing that. I just,
No, just throwing that in there.
yeah, I know some of her, I know all
FYI.
of them, but.
Oh,
I think I agree with where Andrea was going in that we can't make the job description person-specific. So the list of items that are the responsibility of that position should be maybe a little broader than just election, because if something happened to Ashley and somebody else were to come in, you ask them to do something, they could say, I'm sorry, that's not in my job description.
That will not happen in my office, I can tell you that. But beyond that, I have provided you and the rest of the board members with a detailed job description of what that position would handle. And I didn't make it really specific to Ashley. I think it's specific to anybody that would have those excess responsibilities and education to do what the senior election specialists would do. There still is a job description for the regular election specialist, so we're not terminating that one.
Then I had a question,
Wow.
Terry. You had said that you were going to suggest she enter that in year one, for year one.
I'm suggesting in her, that pay schedule, yes, that she would be entering into that in year one of that level, because I think the first one was like a 6 month. Yeah. My recommendation, she would start at the 1 year.
So the 1 year is, and I apologize, I don't have any of those documents in front of me. So year number one has a higher pay scale than year four of the just election specialist?
That's correct. It would be higher then, yes. Her pay is election specialist. Her top pay would be 47 to 88. And I'm asking her to have an increase to 52,852.
So it's a close to a $5,000, over a $5,000 increase from pay one. Did I do that right?
Yeah,
From 47 to 52?
88, yeah. And part of that recommendation, Mike, is not just to say, this year that I didn't. I asked for this position last year, as well as the fact that indicated to the board that she had not had any step increases or wages since at least 2009, when she was simply got the new job description but not a pay increase. So,
I think that was
even though she got an increase in responsibilities, there was no pay.
I think that was fairly universal across the township, though, because we were in a lull economically, correct?
Well, that could have been a reason why the board didn't do that, but last year we were not in a lull, and it just, I felt for myself, not only fighting for my employees, but the budget time was the appropriate time to discuss this with the board, as I did last night, so.
any further discussion? Mr. Cole?
I have a question. What year was our contract with the union that up for renegotiation? 17?
Yeah, it's 2 years, 17.
So would that not be an appropriate time to go back and reposition these persons at that point and then negotiate from that point with the union?
It's a possibility.
As that is not that far up, as we well know. The past 4 years went by in the blink of an eye. And at that point, it may give us a little more time to reclassify that position and then offer the position to the individual and go from there. And you are correct, the union it is the information that's by the labor attorney that the union has 30 days to initiate negotiations with respect to the new or modified position. So,
As I indicated to you, I don't, from what I heard from the attorney, this was not a issue that was a union decision. This was an issue of the township board making a decision and the union be able to have 30 days to review it.
I have a written opinion on that.
Not approve it, but to review it, so.
Any further discussion?
Did you make a motion, Terry, or no?
No, there's no motion made at the present time.
I'll put a motion on the floor to ask the board to approve my recommendations for the senior election specialist.
Motion by Mr. Lilly.
I will support the creation of the job, the pay scale, and the budget amendment, if that's synonymous with your motion, Terry.
Yes, the complete package. So. Is that what you're talking about?
No, yeah, I said I will support the creation of the position, the pay scale, and the budget amendment.
Okay.
If that's your motion, if that's all of your motion, I will support that. Okay. But at this point in time, I'm not supporting actually moving Ashley to the new pay scale because there's a process that's involved there, and I'm not sure what all that process is.
And I don't believe that's what your motion was.
No. Well, my motion included the future budget amendment, but if that's what the board's going to do, I guess all I can do is put my motion what I believe is the right thing to do on the board.
I withdraw my support.
So.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Does it make sense to make the motion? If you would like to make that motion, I'll support that motion, Mr. Roman.
Okay, I'll make the motion to create the position of the senior election specialist, as well as the wage scale and the amendment of the budget.
I support that motion.
So the only thing you're not supporting is the budget amendment to go along with it, is that what you're saying?
I mentioned the budget amendment.
So you're not supporting a pay increase at this time?
That's correct.
Okay.
Position, the wage scale, and the budget.
And if I heard correctly, the position has to be reviewed by the union.
That's correct. But the union won't look at it unless this board first
Officially
approves the position,
Right.
the wage scale, so on and so forth.
Okay, so I have motion by Mr. Roman, and I have support by Mr. Powell to approve the job, approve the pay scale, and give the option for the unions to take a look at it and come back at a later date to approve this.
Approve the budget amendment.
And approve the budget amendment. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed, with
One opposed.
explanation. I'm okay with everything, I just wish Terry would have done a little more homework on the wage scale for like neighboring communities to see if that's a position and if that salary is capable.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, this is 11. 11, we moved C to A, creation of job title modifications, reclassification for bank specialist position to senior treasurer specialist. This is Mr. Roman.
Thanks, Greg. So I ask you all respectfully today to consider the creation of a modified position within my department. I've titled it, excuse me, Senior Treasury Specialist. And again, at this time, I'm not asking the board to reclassify any employees, but that you respectfully consider only the creation of the modified position along with the proposed wage scale. I do believe we should leave the old job in place for entry-level front office staff. I have included the proposed wage scale below for the new position, which is equal to that of the executive secretary pay, which most of the admin team here at the township is being paid currently. So again, I'm looking to get my staff equal to the status quo in this front office. I'm not looking to get them any higher. I don't want them any lower. I'm the one that lost an employee. Jen left Treasury Department a couple of years ago. Don't get me wrong, I think it was a great move for Jen, but part of the reason that she left was money. And I asked her point blank, the job that you were doing, was it deserved of what you're making now? Her answer point blank was yes. So I'm looking for approximately a $65 per week increase from the banking specialist position. Currently, police, fire, water, clerk, and building departments all have positions that pay at the executive secretary level. I don't. I'm at the bottom. And my fear, we're going to have a job position opening up very soon in the water department. It's going to be an executive secretary pay. Sherry Clark left. I risk losing my employees with 14 years of treasury training and 20 years of banking experience. And what I'm telling you all is the professionalism needed by my staff, the commitment that I need, the customer service, on top of being responsible for we take in roughly $45 million a year. That all comes through our office. We have to be perfect, you guys, because every penny we get, we have to then give to someone else, whether it's police, fire, school, so on and so forth. So I'm asking the board to help with the first step in fixing what I consider an injustice. Also keep in mind, we are a profit center. We bring in over $80,000 a year in passport revenue and revenue that we charge the schools in the county for collecting taxes on their behalf. Also, keep in mind, we are only one of 4 municipal treasurer departments in Oakland County to actually process U.S. passports. And I just think that speaks volumes for the professionalism of my front office team. Andrew, you brought up an interesting point, kind of comparing to some of the other townships. I can get comparisons from other townships. Some are going to be lower, some are going to be higher. It's really difficult to compare because you want to try to find someone that's doing the same things. And like I said, there's only 4 other municipal departments right now in Oakland County. Then you have to look at the size of those.
Yep.
So it's hard to do. We also talked, I think last time we talked about Ashley's pay raise, looking to get a study done internally where we could have an HR firm come in and kind of compare the job responsibilities here with the wage scales. Our labor attorney gave me a couple places to call. They won't do that type of a study. They'll compare us to other townships, but I couldn't find someone to do an internal study. And as Greg knows, to get the study done comparing to other townships, we're talking anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000. So I will make a motion myself, again, to create the position, the wage scale, and the budget amendment for the senior treasury specialist.
I'll support that.
Motion by Mr. Roman. Support by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion with regards to this item? Oh,
I'd like to just make
Absolutely.
one comment, and I'm going to say I absolutely agree with everything that Mike said.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the fact that he feels that he has people within his office that have some experience that he does not want to lose. But again, the position that he's going to create is exactly the position that I'm fighting for in my office. And I didn't necessarily create the position for a person, but I think even though Mike's employee may have, or people that are eligible may have the experience and whatever, that we haven't even got out of the first pay step yet. That was hired in order to get that. I'm talking about an employee that's went 9 years without increase. So between you and I, Mike, that's the only difference between what I feel my employee has, that long-term experience here at the township, where when your employee was hired, that they're still in their 4-year step increase to do that. But again, I'm not going to oppose what you're asking for. I believe absolutely what you said was true. So, and what you said was you cannot afford to lose good employees when you have them, and I feel the same way. So,
I do have a motion by Mr. Roman, support by Mr. Powell, for the creation of the job title for senior, bank, senior treasury specialist. The job title, budget amendment, and wage scale. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is going up to the changes that we made earlier. This is the 2017 budget. As of last night, we had a budget review workshop. Board members were available for that. We reviewed line items that were changed throughout the 2017 budget. Because I have a few of the department heads in front of us, I would like to take and congratulate the department heads for all the efforts that you do every year. You know how I am. I'm always looking for savings. Always looking for savings. And just to let you folks know, on your end, for General Township, we came up with $140,000 savings to the budget. So once again, my hat goes off to you folks. You're the folks that are helping the supervisor tremendously on a daily basis, so thank you very much. With that, any discussion with regards to the 2017 budget? I think we kind of really went through it line by line last night, and one of the things that we all have to take and recognize, if you take a look at the 2017 budget, the major things that increased were Social Security, hospital and optical insurance, group life insurance, pension, workers' comp. Those are the 5 main items that increased every year. And once again, this year for 2017, they came as an increase this year again.
No exception.
Right? See any changes?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the, I'm sorry, I got my,
You're approving this 2017 budget.
approving the 2017 budget, I beg your pardon.
Motion by Mr. Kowal to approve the 2017 budget.
I'll support that.
Support by Ms. Voorhees. One item from last night that didn't get changed, if you look on page 17 of 19. Page 17 of 19, this is under expenditures. The last line under expenditures says parks improvement. Last year we had $10,000, and as of last night, we increased that to $15,000. So that was not shown in the package that you currently have, but I did pick that up. That's the only item that was not changed from last night's discussion. So please mark that down in your record. So I do have support by Mr. Kowal, and Motion by Mr. Colwell and support by Ms. Voorhees.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Powell?
if you modify the 15,000 under expenditures, that boosts that column to up 15,000, is there a like amendment that you want to do into revenue? Otherwise, the expenditures exceed the revenues?
Correct. Well, if we keep it at the $10,000, we can approve the budget at this time and go ahead. Mr. Lilly.
It will not necessarily change it'll change the line item in the Parks and Recreation Fund, Mike, but they
Yeah.
have sufficient revenue to make that amendment.
Except
But
under
the number will have to change in that.
Yeah, so we'd have to pick up something into the revenue in order to have them balance with each other.
Right.
Your fund balance is gonna have to change.
Right.
Or the fund use, if you will.
Yeah,
I don't care which one
That's
you
gotta-
do, but we need to make a change
So why don't we keep it at the $10,000 as we have it currently and
and amend it later.
make an amendment later?
That
Okay,
works.
we can do that. So I do have motion by Mr. Colwell, and I do have support by Ms. Voorhees. Any further discussion with regards to 2017 budget? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is Resolution 16-042, 2017 General Appropriations Act.
Mr. Supervisor, really the motion that Rick made to approve the budget really should have been the General Appropriations Act, but I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2017 General Appropriations Act.
Okay.
Resolution 16042.
Motion by Mr. Lilly,
Support.
support by Mr. Roman. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is 11D. This is 11D. This is being brought to us by our Water Superintendent, Aaron Potter. Mr. Potter?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations for the additional help in the Water Department.
A motion by Mr. Lilly to take and approve.
Support that.
Support by Mr. Colwell. Is there any discussion?
Supervisor,
Powell?
and maybe Aaron can bring me up to date on it. Obviously, you have positions in the Water Department, the Water and Sewer Department. Are there no positions labeled secretary position?
Currently in the Water Department, as was already touched on earlier, our executive secretary has left us, which has kind of put us in a bad spot. It's left us with just one part-time secretary position. It's kind of highlighted a problem that existed before, but with only one full-time secretarial position, it really makes it difficult to handle the workload that's going through our office right now. We've got almost 200 new homes being built. We've got SADs going in all over the place. There are quite a few new projects that we're working on that are going to require administrative aides. We strongly
Excuse me,
feel-
Aaron, and I totally understand that we need more help there. I guess my question is, we can have more than one secretary in there. And we don't have to have a different job description for every person working in a department. So we
Correct.
could have 2, 3, we could have 10 secretarial positions. You're saying that we have no job description for a full-time secretary in the Water Department? Is that what you're saying?
We have a job description currently that's actually closed today. It was an internal post for a secretary position, the same position.
Okay.
What I'm asking for is a second secretary position. Exactly.
I see.
He's looking to have 2 full-time secretaries.
So it's not a change or an addition in a job description, it's just adding an additional spot.
Correct.
Thank you, I misunderstood.
And the same thing is true with the utility maintenance worker position. I would like to add another utility maintenance worker.
Terry, make motion.
Good.
Yes, I do have motion and I do have support. Any further comments for Mr. Potter? Mr. Roman?
I just want to thank you again, Aaron, for everything you're doing for us. You came in here with a skeleton crew, and super job. I love your attitude. You're never afraid of a challenge. Thanks for being here.
I'd like to thank you back for all the excellent support that I've gotten from everybody on the board. And Mr. Baroni, I'd like to personally thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I haven't been able to work with you very long, but you conduct yourself with style and grace, and it's just been an absolute joy to work with you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. You know that. 3 months into the program, and Aaron's done an awesome job. An awesome job. So, once again, sir, thank you very much for doing everything that you've been doing. Keep it going.
We will.
Okay, so I do have motion, I do have support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, sir. You can move forward with your 2 secretaries and utility maintenance person.
I don't think you're done yet.
Next item on the agenda, this is 11E. This is purchase of a new truck for ordnance. As you all know, we have our ordnance officer that is currently driving around in how old of a vehicle? 12-year-old vehicle?
Yeah, sold.
It's a
06.
It's a 06, is it? Okay. It's a 06 Explorer. It has many miles on it, and I'm requesting a new vehicle for our ordnance officer, which is a 2017 F-150 Ford pickup truck. You've got the details in the board packet. And the only thing that I would suggest that whoever makes the motion to make it not to exceed $21,000. Mr. Cole.
Mr. Supervisor, unless I'm missing something, if one of my other board members could peruse this again for me, I do not see this as a four-wheel drive vehicle. And I would say that when we have 2/3 of the township north of 59 as rural area, and I would say if you put a mileage meter on the vehicle, he probably spends a good deal of time traversing that area. And whenever there is the need for that, I firmly believe that we, especially a pickup truck, a 2-wheel drive pickup truck on these back roads, I am concerned about that.
Not sure.
Is that it?
I'm not positive.
I see this here as a regular drive.
4x2.
4x2.
It's a two-wheel drive.
That's an inadequate vehicle for this job. I would highly recommend that we go back and add about $5,000 to this budget so that we can get a 4-wheel drive vehicle for that position. You never know when that vehicle maybe need to be pressed into service for additional use.
Typically, our township vehicles, when we have large snowfalls and things like that, where there has been times when the fire department had to take and borrow some of our vehicles. So, I agree with you, Mr. Cowell. It should be a...
Looks like about a $3,000 difference on
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
about
of
$3,000
this.
to $4,000
So
average.
maybe make your motion at 25,000.
Yeah, not to exceed.
Not to
Yeah.
exceed.
If I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2017 F-150 with one exception to go to the
Four-wheel drive.
four-wheel drive. Thank you, with an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Okay, you got a
I'll
motion,
support that.
motion by Mr. Cowell, support by Mr. Roman.
I have a question, Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Ruggles.
Is this more cost effective than an Explorer? Is there a reason for the truck and not the Explorer?
Yes, actually, the ordinance officer at times will go out. Of course, the last few days that we've been here this week, he's been out picking up political signs. Okay? And if you go
Big time.
toward the garage area, you're going to see a large amount of political signs. So there are several occasions when he'll notice debris out in the median on 59 from car accidents and things like that. He'll go into the median and pick up those car parts that are in the... So yes, a pickup truck would be ideal for him.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion by Mr. Cowell, support by Mr. Roman? Any further discussion,
Just
Mr. Cowell?
one quick note on that. I didn't notice if it had a bed liner. I didn't see that.
It
I know we talked
We
about.
talked about that today.
including that, so.
Including that. I'm sure that 25,000 will
Yeah.
accommodate
Should
that. but
accommodate that too.
I just want to make sure that gets put in the record.
Okay, so I have motion by Mr. Cowell, support by Mr. Roman, to look at the four-wheel addition for the F-150, not to exceed $25,000. Mr. Powell.
Does this include the White Lake emblem on it, so it's totally finished, ready to go?
Yes,
We put those on here.
we put those on.
Okay.
Yep. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is item 11F. This is purchase of a server, a computer server for GIS, Global Information Systems, at a cost of $12,401.85. Once again, everybody knows me and going forward with technology. GIS is an awesome package, a very user-friendly type package that will not just help sewer and water, but it also will help some of our other departments too. We have looked at possibly going to the cloud, okay? But after talking to our IT specialist, for IT Right, the recommendation is have your own in-house server instead of going to the cloud. They felt that it was that much more secure. So that is recommendations from IT Right, which is our computer technologies company. And that's where we are with a server for GIS. Mr. Paul, you know all about GIS and the uniqueness that brings it forward to the township as far as another great tool.
It is.
To utilize.
This includes all the software.
It does. Any further discussion, Mr. Powell?
This has J&A, any of this been run by J&A to make sure that their GIS equipment and the data they're going to be providing the township for the water systems is compatible with this particular software?
Well, I'm not aware of the quote that you're looking at.
I don't know if he'll be able to tell from that. It'll have to be, we'll just have to make sure.
Probably more of a conversation with IT Right.
Right, because we just authorized them to go through and prepare a GIS map for our water system, and we want to make sure that it's compatible with this.
Mr. Powell, I doubt that you're gonna have any compatibility issues as far as software and that. I do know that upcoming with the SAW grant, I think was.
Correct.
You got awarded.
SAW grant we were awarded, and we should be receiving funds of $513,000 from SAW grant.
So there are some.
This month.
There are some softwares that are gonna be available as part of that SAW grant package.
Right.
I don't believe the hardware purchases are eligible as part of the SAW grant, so we would be responsible for providing hardware for that. So this is good preparation for
Okay.
that.
So if it would be possible before we sign on the dotted line, if we could just make sure we coordinate, and along that line, maybe we can break out the amount for the software on this from the 12,000 and separate it, so maybe the SAW grant can be applied to the software.
We can look at that.
Okay.
Okay. So with this item, we'd like to take and postpone it at the present time until we do some further investigation.
How soon before we start to implement the GIS, actual GIS, they're working on it right now, some of the GIS program. So
Probably be after the first of the year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, be after the first of the year. But as far as contacting IT Right, that's our first job tomorrow.
And I know my office has been in touch with IT Right,
Yes, I know they have.
but I can't tell you if they've looked over that code or.
Okay. Now, when I've talked to Randy at IT Right, he said that's what the other townships are currently using. This is his guideline from Independence and some of the other townships that they currently provide service to.
Okay.
But I will confirm that with Randy tomorrow.
All right.
You're right. So you and I can call Randy. Aaron.
This is ESRI product, so this is CityWorks. Is what we were.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
what we would like to use here.
Yep. So we'll make that phone call, and once again, if we find that it is compatible, do you want us to just move forward on it?
That would be my recommendation.
Well, and the saw grant question too.
Well, I'd like to, I have a motion, I can.
Okay. I was waiting for one.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the GIS database ARC server and not to exceed $12,401.85. Approval subject to the equipment compatibility and software review regarding SAW grant.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Colwell.
Support.
Support by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Keep moving. That's it. Good.
Next item on the agenda, this is a request to take and purchase fire department equipment. Chief Gurka.
Good evening, Board. I'm here before you tonight to request purchasing of new hydraulic extrication tools. And it's really going forward with the theme of technology and improving the technology of some of the tools we have on the fire department. You know, the White Lake Fire Department wants to always give its citizens the best service, and we have purchased over the years some of the latest and greatest technology items. I'll give you an example. One's the Zoll Auto Pulse. It's a device that does automatic CPR, and we use it every week on patients who are in cardiac arrest, and it's made a difference in our save rate. We bought the latest and greatest blood sugar monitors to check patients to find out what their sugar is and to help with diabetic patients. Special CPAP masks that help patients breathe who have different lung issues. And so tonight, really, I'm before you to talk to you about these extrication tools. Now, this isn't just a whim that I'm here to buy some, you know, cool tool that I can brag about to other fire departments and that our guys can play around with. This is something that I've been watching personally for several years, the development of these tools. You know, leaving behind the hydraulic hoses and pressurizing engines that are used with these hydraulic tools, and watching these tools evolve into essentially electric tools that don't have any attachment. So the analogy in the private sector might be, if you've ever used to use an old corded drill, you had to plug into the wall and go do all your work with a corded drill, and then you saw over the years how cordless drills became prevalent in use. And I would think that, you know, you may have a corded drill today as a backup, but I'll bet you're using your cordless drill to do all your work. And so it's very similar with these rescue tools. And what we've done is we went through 2 grant cycles. You know, this was something I didn't want to just grab and pull out of our budget and not do my due diligence. So for 2 years, we applied 2 different grant cycles for an AFG grant. Unfortunately, you know, both of those were unsuccessful. And, you know, there's a variety of reasons that they may have been. You know, they look at all kind of applications from around the country, and based on the budget, you know, the number of runs you go on, the number of personnel, a lot of other demographics, in some cases, you know, you don't get the grant award. But we did try 2 times, and so now, you know, we're really compelled to go ahead and move forward and purchase this equipment. So what I observed is, in discussing with other fire chiefs, some of the equipment that's the best equipment in the industry, and knowing that recently Rochester Hills went out for an RFP for just such equipment. They had come up with a successful bidder, and they were purchasing 6 outfits, 6 sets of tools. So we're going after 3 sets of tools, and after discussions with Apollo, which is the successful vendor, they agreed to match that price for White Lake, which reflects about a 23% discount over the MSRP. And although I have in here 30 days, I believe they've extended that actually till approximately 90 days or through the end of the year. If you take a look at the packet, I mean, you can get a look at visually what the tools look like. I mean, they do look similar to what we use now as far as cutters and spreaders. However, you know, they don't have any hydraulic hoses attached. They're all battery powered, and you know, they perform just as well, if not better, as some of the conventional hydraulic tools. And you can see some of the other fire departments that have used these tools and purchased them and are happy with you know, the way they perform. And I had spoken to several chiefs about the performance of these tools. Our personnel have been urging me to have a set of these tools available at each station for each area. And so that's the goal of this, is to buy, I believe there's two of each at each station of these tools, and have them, you know, readily available, you know, handy and available at each station.
So your request is for one of these tools for each station. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's actually a set. It's a set for each station. So basically, I know it says 3 here of a cutter package and a spreader package, and of course the AC/DC like converter pack, which keeps the batteries going, and allows you to use the tool also with like shoreline power also as kind of an emergency backup. And that, if you look at that, the total price that we're asking for to spend on this is $57,075.
That's $19,025 each. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, just a question here. I was reading, we bought it says conventional Hearst hydraulic cutter earlier this year. So if you get these, what will you do with that? Just shelf it?
Well, we're going to keep the conventional cutter. It'll be on Rescue 1, but we'll also have these tools, and I would imagine that these tools are going to be used much more frequently. These tools will be used in the Citizens Academy also. I mean, they use our conventional cutters now, but I envision the you know, Citizens Academy using these tools in some of their things that we do with them. But more importantly, and this is what our personnel have been urging me, and what I've recognized as a real need is that the truck that we're going out to bids, that was approved by the board that I approached you last month, we'd like to outfit some tools on that vehicle for Station 3's area, and then we'd also like to have some tools at Station 2, which right now we don't have anything at 2. So if we get a crash, an accident down in Station 2's area, then we have to send Station 1's equipment, and you know, it takes a few minutes. Our personnel, and I agree, we'd like to start working immediately with that station's personnel. If they arrive on the scene a few minutes sooner, they can start the operations of cutting, prying, you know, extricating, and it's just prudent to have a set, you know, at each station.
Could you say send this unit to Station 3 and just outfit 1 and 2 with the new stuff?
Well, you know, we talked about, you know, not having a set at each station, but again, you know, our goal has been, you know, there's some cases where we may have a paid-on-call person arrive at a station, you know, reach a station first and grab a vehicle, while other personnel are coming from another station. And there are instances where when we get that new truck in service in Station 3, they could potentially be there working on an extrication, you know, a couple minutes before other personnel get there, especially if other personnel are on another run, which we can never really always crystal ball when that might happen. You know, sometimes we pull all our personnel to one end of the township to work on a situation, And if we have, again, paid on call response, I like to have this equipment at each station, so there's the chance that they could grab that equipment and go start doing some work with it.
Thanks.
Mr. Powell?
Chief probably did this on purpose and put me into a group. I'm going through the Citizens League again this year. And he
Citizens Academy?
Citizens Academy, yes. Citizens League, I wish I was Superman or something, but he probably put me into a group and gave me the maybe the older equipment to extradite, rip cars apart. And it was frustrating not only for us but for the full-time staff as well, and using the cutters and some of the jaws of life. They didn't quite spread far enough, and so if you could picture, we could picture somebody trapped in there and we were trying to get them out. The spreaders that we were using just didn't have the power and didn't have the spread that the new stuff does. So we had to wait for the new stuff to show up from another vehicle, and then it was a matter of seconds that the new stuff was usable. And so if you're the one sitting in a car waiting to be saved, I'm in full favor of this purchase.
Well, thank you. I think those are some other good reasons. Also, I wanted to point out that, again, with the rural flavor of some of our roads, I can cite several instances even within the last year where we've had, it doesn't necessarily have to be two vehicles, that collide. We have people, one-car accidents, people that go off the road, hit a tree, roll their vehicle. They need extrication. They need these tools. And as another sort of interesting thing, when I took this job almost 3 years ago, they let me look through a whole big file of photos over the years of some different incidents in White Lake. And I grabbed a theme out of that. And what I saw in those photos and repeated time and time again were wrecks, all kind of car wrecks, truck wrecks, just amazing what was in that batch of photos. And I knew right then when I saw that this is something that the White Lake Fire Department is going to be dealing with for many years to come with, with given some of the rural roads versus M59. This is just something that we're going to be doing. And we want to have the best equipment, and we want to try to keep up with some of the latest and greatest tools.
Mr. Cole?
And we are making an effort, I know, Chief, to try to have all three stations manned as our population grows, and the growth is going to be in the northwestern end of the township. I think that it's prudent to have the tools that you need readily available, and I know if there's a car, I too have been to the Citizens Academy and played around with those things, and tripping over hydraulic hose is not necessarily what you want to be doing, and if something goes off the road and down a hill and around the I don't want to be worrying about having a cord. I want to pop that battery pack in there and I'm done. So I gotta agree with the chief.
I got a text message like 6 weeks ago from one of my firefighter buddies that we as a township board need to be supportive of the emergency equipment to save lives. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to purchase.
I still had a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Lilly, did you
I
have
just
a comment?
want to ask Chief, I bought a number of drill sets and saws and whatever. I buy a kit with 3 items in it, and I don't use it very often, but after 3-4 years I go to buy, the battery goes bad, and I go to buy a battery, and I might as well throw 3 brand new pieces of equipment away. What assurances do we have that if we're going to buy these, that these batteries are going to last us as long as the tool itself, that we don't end up in that same situation, that batteries are bad and we're going to pay more for batteries than we do to have a brand new piece of equipment?
Well, I think this company that we're going with, Hearst, they're really the leader in the industry. They pioneered this equipment when it was hydraulic, which they still offer a hydraulic line, and I think that they're going to stand behind their products, and I don't think that we're going to have a major issue with the batteries. I mean, I think you're always going to have an expense if a battery goes bad and it has to be replaced, and sometimes they're not going to be as cheap as let's say a conventional battery for a cordless drill.
According to your bid here, Chief, they're about $550 each.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying by the time I replace my kits and buy the battery, I might as well buy the new kit because I can buy the kit and the battery cheaper than I can buy the battery, so.
Mr. Roman?
That would be my only concern about it. I want to express that.
Chief, any idea what the expected useful life on these pieces are?
You know, I don't have that right off the, on the tip of my tongue for you, but I could certainly, find that out.
Okay,
I mean,
and then just a suggestion, if you can keep the price the same, maybe consider buying one set. Let all you guys try it out, see if you like it, and if it's good stuff, then buy the other two. Just a suggestion.
Ms. Voorhees?
I'm in favor of doing all three, so I think we should just replace them all. So I'm going to continue on with my motion to purchase the 3 Hearst hydraulic SAP 5700E 2 cutter packages, spreaders, and AC/DC converter packs with the packages totaling $57.75 from Apollo Fire Equipment Company.
I'll support that.
Motion by Ms. Voorhees, support by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion with regards to this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, this is 11H. This is a petition to abandon a portion of Park View Drive in Sunset Park Sub. Now, we have a gentleman that is in, Mr. Lilly, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd just like to put a motion on the floor that we let the county know that we have no objections to the abandonment.
Okay. A motion by Mr. Lilly.
Support.
Support by Mr. Roman. Any further discussion with regards to this item? Mr.
I'll
Roman.
just quickly mention that there's a gentleman that bought the piece on the map that's in red, as well as all of the parcels across what looks like a road. And he's asking that road be abandoned.
I'm sorry.
Are you finished? Go ahead.
So he's asking that road be abandoned. There's no other parcels that could be landlocked, so I just wanted to give the board that knowledge that the parcels across the street are also owned by the same person.
Mr. Lilly?
I'd just like to amend my motion to include that these parcels need to be combined into one parcel.
Okay. Miss Lisa?
Change their
You get
support.
Hang on, Lisa's got a question.
I
Comment.
actually just want to make a comment that it appears by looking at the documents that this is a platted subdivision. So my concern is there should be at least some notation that it has to comply with the correct process to amend the plat. Plats are in the county records, and there's a whole process in the Plat Act on how to amend a plat. Just to bring that to your attention.
Does that affect Terry's motion, Lisa?
Well, it doesn't necessarily affect whether you want to oppose or support what the county's requesting of you. I would just maybe note that as long as it complies with all state and local laws.
Okay, but part of his motion was to combine parcels into one, and that's the part that I'm not sure that we want to support at this time.
Right, I don't know, Janine, I don't know that she's even reviewed it for that process.
Yeah.
What is actually on the table is for us to look at the parcels that we're talking about and the roadway that's currently there, which is a 2-track overgrown by trees and weeds. Do we, as a township, have any utility issues over in that area? No, we don't. The county wants us to take and get back with them to say, we, the township, agree about abandoning this proposed roadway and we have no utilities, and it's a county road anyway. That's all they're looking for. Mr. Lilly.
But my only concern is you're asking us to abandon a road that if these parcels stay as individual parcels, they have no frontage to those parcels. And I think the township does have some obligation
And that would create a zoning
to try to
ordinance
clear up
violation.
that issue. So I don't have any problem with at least notifying the road commission that we believe in the motion that these parcels be combined to avoid that issue. I think we do have a problem with this abandoned, with individual parcels.
Yeah, and then adding that as long as the vacation doesn't cause any violations of any state or local laws, I think would cover that.
And I think the other item besides just utilities was that it didn't cause a violation of any other ordinance, be it land division, zoning ordinance, and so when I responded, I believe that I concurred with Janine that combining these would be appropriate and would therefore not render all these parcels landlocked, which they would be if the road goes away, which is a problem, especially if ownership could then change hands and you have all these different people owning all these landlocked parcels. So I believe the application, or I should say the applicant, intends to do this, so I don't know that he would object, but I think that it should be a condition that would attach or it causes us local issues.
Okay, so I'll support Terry's
You already did.
amended motion.
Oh, the amended motion, okay. Right. So I have motion by Mr. Lilly and support by Mr. Roman. Any further discussion with regards to this item?
I didn't quite get that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I missed that.
It's off.
Andrew's
I
got a
know I
comment.
am.
You guys, sorry, Lisa, was your language supposed to be, am I putting in any language about complying with state? I just wasn't 100% sure about that. State and local law.
That wasn't in Terry's motion.
It wasn't, but is
It really doesn't matter anyway, because it's got to actually go to circuit court to have the plat changed anyway, so it will be following the State Plat Act to do that. So I understand your position, but since it's within 500 feet of water, it has to go through circuit court in order to change the plat, so.
Question for Janine though. Once the parcels are combined, we're turning all of this into one? Okay, so part of what looks like a road now will be part of that one parcel, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, yep.
Next item on the agenda, this is item 11I. This is copy machine purchase. Mr. Lilly.
As indicated in my memo, Mr. Supervisor, our lease is about to expire. Our recommendation was to accept a bid from Applied Imaging. As I indicated in my memo to you, that the machines would still be RICO machines, so it'd be easier for training for the employees of the township. There's a slight cost savings by going with a Mitten Cooperative quote on those. So my recommendation is to approve a new lease with 3 additional new, I shouldn't say additional, replacing 3 copiers.
Is that a motion, Mr. Lilly?
That's a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Lilly.
Is that one machine or 2, Terry?
It's 3, isn't it?
3? 3 machines.
Machines.
3.
I'm looking for support.
Oh.
Support by Mr. Ruggles. Any further discussion with regards to the copy machine purchase? Mr. Powell?
Supervisor, yes. How much are we paying for the 3 current copy machines versus what this new lease will be?
I don't think I have that information with me, Mike.
And do we really need 3 high-class copy machines like this
Yes,
in
we
the
do.
same building?
Yes, we do. There's one currently at the end of the hall that Water Department, Water Sewer, and Accounting use. There's one in the main room that is kind of our main copier for big items, and there's one in the clerk's office. Yes, they do get used
They're
frequently.
used also a ton for scanning. It's not just copies, it's scanning.
Electronic
and,
storage of records.
Yeah, but I'd agree. We use the 3. There's many a times when I'm looking for one and 2 of the other ones are us. Sometimes all 3 are being used. So.
Okay.
Good question, though, Mr. Paul. I remember 6 years ago when we sat at this board table and we talked about copy machines. That was one of my main questions. Do we really need 3?
Right.
After being here for 6 years,
We
I
do.
agree with the board.
Okay.
And then when you can't
We
get
do.
one to work, you still got 2 more. So.
That's what the hammer's for on the wall, right?
So I do have a motion by Mr. Lilly and I have support by Mr. Ruggles. Any further discussion on copy machine purchase? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda, this is item 11J. This is Oakland County Parks and Recreation fee waiver request. And I'm going to turn this one over to Mr. O'Neill to explain it.
I will try to be brief. You have a memo dated November 4th from me, as well as a letter dated November 3rd from Dan Stencil, who is the Executive Officer for Oakland County Parks. They are looking at rezoning about 40 acres of property that they've recently acquired from the Girl Scouts. It meets with our long-term recreation master plan and would then match the zoning of the adjacent White Lake Oaks Park. So we're in support of the direction that they're moving in, but before they make application, they're hoping to save a few dollars in some of the fees that we charge. They were asking for a waiver on the 2 fees that they'll have to be charged, which are fees that we pay to others, would be the review fee. We use an outside consultant. I explained to them that while we have staff that could do that, it's appropriate to follow the same process that we always follow, which is listed here at $650, as well as the newspaper advertising and the mailings, which is another $200. So they're requesting to pay only $850 rather than the $1,980 fee. And that would be waiving the Planning Commission fee, which is the most extensive fee. However, I did tell them that my recommendation to you would be that we place them on an agenda where we already have other actions, so we're not convening the Planning Commission, incurring all those expenses with no other action items, and they were agreeable to that. And I told them that I thought that would be something we could do in January if you were so inclined to approve it today, and they were just fine with that. They're not in a big rush. They were just hoping for a little assistance, and as always, us governmental entities try to work together to save each other funds. It's kind of saving all of our residents' funds when we do this. So I certainly support their request and would respectfully request your support tonight as well.
Question for you, Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, sir.
The amount that they wish to have waived is what?
They're asking to have $1,130 waived, and they'll be paying $850. This includes
Correct.
That's our hard costs, I mean.
Right.
Right, it's basically the Planning Commission fee would be $950, and then the 10% administrative fee are the 2 fees that would be waived that would equal the $1,130.
John, did you say the county has waived fees for us in the past?
They've allowed us, at least at the Planning Commission level, to utilize, I know like White Lake Oaks, for example, when we did a rezoning a couple of years ago, they allowed us to use their facilities.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause I thought we got charged for the board meetings.
The last board meeting that we had over there, where we had a packed house, we did get charged for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, once again, that manager that was there that night was her first night.
Yeah, I think they're agreeable to do so whenever possible, and
But
they have
in-
waived fees for us.
In the past, they have waived
They have,
fees,
okay.
yes. Mr. Lilly,
Also like to remind the board that the county was very cooperative when we talked about the Four Corners, about Dan going to bat for us and getting approval by Brooks Patterson to expedite that project, so. But I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations of the planning director to waive the $950 Planning Commission fee and a 10% admin fee for a total of $1,130.
okay, got motion by Mr. Lilly,
I'll support that.
support by Mr. Cole. Any further discussion with regards to this item? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Next item on the agenda is 11K. This is the Bloomer Park pathway repair.
Yes, and very briefly, you have a memo dated November 3rd from Jason outlining some of the issues at Bloomer Park. I chalked this up to kind of ongoing maintenance. The good news is it's getting quite a bit of use. The unfortunate news is that people continue to ride horses on these pathways that are marked no horse traffic because the majority of the park is accessible to horses still, but they do damage as well as the dirt bikes that are occasionally ridden through there as well. And so I don't know that this is a result of that directly, but this does add wear and tear. So basically, we have some erosion that needs to be repaired before it gets worse and possibly impassable. And we did some repairs to the pathway in a different area last year to the tune of maybe $800 or $900, and that's held up really well. So we're going to use the same method and the same approach here with the same contractor. So we expect that the result will be similar. And as you see, the recommended total is $4,327 to be paid out of the park fund, Parks and Recreation Fund.
As you can see, we're all grabbing for our phones to try to silence them as quickly as possible, but we just had an Amber Alert come across. So I see everybody going into their pockets, pulling their phones out. I think we all just got the same Amber Alert. Thank you once again, Sean, for your review of this item.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $4327 for cutting edge outdoor services to work on the Bloomer Park pathway improvement.
Now, this will be also, it will be cleaned off because it's full of leaves right now. It will be regraded. It will be regraded out, and then they're going to put a seal coat on it.
Yeah, it's like a binding agent.
It is a binding
the
agent,
original.
right.
It's almost like a glue. It goes on with a white tin and it dries clear, and it keeps all the aggregate that's come.
The lime aggregate together. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this. Just in the future, I'd like to see more than one price. So.
Okay. Once again, with regards to this, under $5,000, I could have just signed it, but I'm bringing it to the board for your information.
True. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess so.
So with that, Mr. Ruggles, is that your support?
Sure. Yeah.
So we do have support. Mr. Powell?
Supervisor, being a horse person, there is a problem with horses going directly down a pathway, certainly. And so I might highly suggest with a sign instead of just banning horses, because if the rider wants to go down, they're going to go down it. But if you provide for a different way to get down to the same area, and I'm not familiar with there is.
We actually do have an equestrian trail over there.
And it's well marked.
With a sign saying, no
Yes.
horses this way?
Yes, exactly that.
They'd probably just get rid of the sign anyways.
We've had people going in there to take senior pictures and stuff like that, and I get it's really nice over there and it's great, but on occasion,
okay,
it's a big animal and it's putting a lot of strain on those paths. It wasn't really
Even
designed.
that clear coated emulsive will be torn up with horse hoof.
Eventually, so yes.
I do have motion by Mr. Roman. I do have support by Mr. Ruggles. Any further discussion with regards to this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item on the agenda is 12, which is trustee comment. And before I start off with trustee comment, I would be remiss, because we have live broadcast of our board meeting tonight, to give a shout out to one of our trustees, Carol Burkhart.
Mm-hmm.
We know Carol is probably sitting at home watching this as we speak. And once again, Carol, we appreciate everything that you've done for us in the past 20-some years that you were here with the township. We miss you. And hopefully the township board will move on forward.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Carol. Hi, Carol.
And I did text her and ask her if she's watching, and she's probably watching and not texting me back. So
Right. So, Mr. Powell, we always start off with you.
appreciate that very much. As I said, the Citizens Academy is an awesome time that I highly recommend the citizens participate in. Tomorrow night, we're going to the morgue. I'm not sure how excited I'm going to be when I get done with that, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Mike, you get to go through the front door and not the back.
Front door, not the back. That's
Don't
correct.
cross your arms.
I also learned last week, and really everyone in the township should take advantage of this, in that if you leave on a vacation, whether it's one day or a week or a month, or go down south for the whole year, the police department will, in fact, if you let them know, will do house checks while you're gone, so that they monitor what happens in your house, and then also subdivision checks. And I wanted to let the citizens know that to take advantage of that, because the police department are very pleased to do that for us.
You know, and the timing is great, because now we're just getting into the winter months, and we have an awful lot of folks that go down south or out west for the winter months, and it would be an ideal time for them to call the police department and get put on the vacation watch.
That's exactly right.
So thank you very much for
Yes.
mentioning that.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruggles.
I'd just like to say, Greg, it's been a pleasure the last 4 years getting to know you and serving with you, and I wish you well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lilly.
I'll do the same thing. I'm not very good at goodbyes, but we'll deal with that at a more appropriate time.
Very good.
So
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Voorhees.
December 2nd of this year is the annual tree lighting ceremony on Friday. I'm not unsure of the time, but it's a great community. Liz, go ahead.
6 to 8.
Okay. I just know it's when I get out of work. Great. And then the following day is Santa at the Fisk in the afternoon.
3rd and 4th.
Yep. So if anyone wants to see Santa or do Christmas tree and be festive the first part of December, head down to the Fisk Farm the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th.
Does Santa come to the
Second,
tree
3rd, and
lighting?
4th.
No,
Pardon?
Does Santa come to the tree lighting?
Santa does come
Yes.
to the tree lighting also.
it's a long
But
line
if,
though.
if in fact you don't have a chance to see Santa, you also have a chance on the Saturday and Sunday following. Okay.
If I may just plug the tree lighting a little bit. I've had the pleasure of co-chairing it this year, and we're looking for volunteers.
Yes, volunteers are desperately needed.
I think they're always volunteers.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Kowal.
I would like to say it's been a pleasure working with you, Greg, over the last 4 years. I certainly appreciate all the guidance and humor and things that we've had over different subjects over the last few years. And I will assure you that I will try to do my best to uphold the standard of which has been set here at the township and continue to move the township forward in a positive manner.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roman.
Well, first I want to say thanks to Carol. Carol, thanks for everything you've done for our township. We know you're watching. I know you've been waiting so long for this video to take place, so it's a great thing. Want to welcome Liz Smith on aboard. Liz, looking forward to serving with you. And just Greg, wow, 4 years went by like that.
Blink of an eye.
I don't know where the time went. And my God, we haven't always agreed on things, but man, your heart is with White Lake. And as I told Marilyn today, you guys both will always be trustees to this township. So
Oh, thank you,
thanks
sir.
for everything you've done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything, Lisa? Anything? No? Okay, fine. With that, folks, we're going to be moving into an executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to have a 5-minute recess.
Motion for Mr. Lilly, and I'm going to make it 10 minutes. Mr. Lilly.
Second.
Motion to recess by Mr. Lilly for 10 minutes, support by Mr. Kowal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recess for 10 minutes.